Simple Tales presents The Dead Man's Debt from Latvian Folklore. Long ago, in the forests and fields of Latvia, there lived a young traveller who possessed little more than the clothes on his back and a few coins in his purse. Though poor, he was kind-hearted. He earned what he could by working from village to village, helping farmers in the fields and craftsmen in their workshops. One autumn evening, as the sun was setting, he arrived at a small town. Near the churchyard, he saw a crowd gathered around a coffin. The people were arguing loudly. Curious, the traveller approached. "What has happened?" he asked. An old woman sighed. "The man in that coffin died owing money. The creditors refuse to allow his burial until the debt is paid." The traveller looked at the simple wooden coffin. No family stood nearby. No friends argued on the dead man's behalf. Only the creditors remained, demanding payment from someone who could no longer answer. "How much is owed?" asked the traveller. The amount was small enough that it could be paid, but only if the traveller gave away nearly everything he possessed. He hesitated. Those coins were all he had. Without them, his own future would become uncertain. Yet he could not bear the thought of the dead man being denied a proper resting place. Quietly, he opened his purse. "I will pay." The creditors accepted the money. The argument ended. The coffin was carried into the churchyard and buried beneath the earth. The townspeople thanked the traveller. But as night fell and he continued his journey, he wondered whether he had acted foolishly. Now he possessed almost nothing. That evening, he slept beneath the branches of an old oak tree. During the night, he awoke to the sound of footsteps. A stranger stood nearby. The man wore a dark cloak and carried no baggage. His face was pale, but not unfriendly. "May I travel with you?" the stranger asked. The traveller considered. "A companion is welcome," he said. The stranger nodded. From that day forward, they journeyed together. Yet there was something unusual about the man. He spoke very little. He never seemed hungry. At inns, he rarely touched the food placed before him. When storms approached, he always sensed them first. When dangers lurked ahead, he somehow knew. Several times his warnings saved the traveller from thieves and accidents. The traveller often wondered who his companion truly was, but whenever he asked, the stranger merely smiled. Weeks passed. One evening they arrived at a kingdom filled with sorrow. The streets were quiet. The people whispered fearfully. At the centre of the kingdom stood a great castle. There the traveller learned the cause of the kingdom's misery. The king's daughter had fallen beneath a terrible curse. Each night, a dark spirit appeared within her chamber. Many knights had attempted to break the curse. None had succeeded. Some vanished, others fled in terror. The king had promised a great reward to anyone who could save his daughter. The traveller listened carefully. He found himself thinking about the princess, not because of the reward, but because of her suffering. That night he spoke with his mysterious companion. "I wish I could help her," he said. The stranger was silent for a moment. Then he finally spoke. "You have a good heart. Because of that, you may succeed where stronger men have failed." The next evening, the companion revealed a plan. He instructed the traveller exactly what to do and exactly where to stand. Before sending him into the chamber, the stranger handed him a small bundle of rowan branches. "When the darkness appears," he said, "place these around the princess's bed. Then stand within the circle they form. Whatever you see or hear, do not leave the circle. Do not answer any voice. And above all, do not give in to fear." As darkness fell, the traveller entered the princess's chamber. The room was silent. Carefully, he laid the rowan branches around the bed, forming a protective ring. Then he waited. Midnight approached. A cold wind swept through the castle. The candles flickered. Then a shadow appeared. It seeped from the corners of the room like black smoke. The darkness grew larger and larger until it seemed to fill the chamber. The traveller wanted to run. Every instinct urged him to flee. Then the shadow began to speak. It promised him gold. It promised him power. When he remained silent, it threatened him with death. Still, he remembered the stranger's instructions. He stood firm inside the circle of rowan wood. The shadow rushed forward. The room shook. The candles went out. Yet the traveller did not move. Again and again the darkness hurled itself against the circle, but it could not cross the sacred barrier. Then, as the first pale light of dawn touched the window, the shadow let out a terrible cry. Its shape twisted and shrank. The darkness shattered like smoke caught in a strong wind. The curse had been broken. For the first time in years, the princess slept peacefully. By morning, the entire kingdom was celebrating. The king embraced his daughter. Church bells rang. People filled the streets with music and laughter. The traveller was honoured throughout the land. In time, affection grew between him and the princess. Eventually, they were married. At last, the young man who had once wandered the roads with only a few coins possessed happiness, friendship, and a home. Yet one mystery remained: his silent companion. On the evening before the wedding, the stranger approached him one final time. "I must leave now," he said. The traveller was saddened. "You have helped me more than I can ever repay." The stranger smiled. "The debt has already been repaid." "What do you mean?" For the first time, the companion's pale features seemed strangely familiar. Then
The traveller remembered the coffin, the churchyard, the man denied a burial because of his debts. Understanding slowly dawned. You are the man you helped, said the stranger gently. When others abandoned me, you showed compassion. You gave your last coins so I could rest in peace. The traveller stood speechless. The stranger continued. I could not repay you in life, so I repaid you in death. For a moment, the evening air grew perfectly still. Then the stranger's form began to fade, like mist before sunrise. Thank you, he said. And he vanished. The traveller never saw him again, yet he never forgot. For the rest of his life, he remembered that kindness is never truly lost. A good deed may disappear from sight. Years may pass without reward. But somewhere, in ways we cannot always understand, goodness finds its way home. And so the people told this tale for generations, reminding one another that even the dead remember compassion, and that a debt of gratitude can reach beyond the grave itself. If you enjoyed this tale, please like, subscribe, and share Simple Tales. There are many more legends waiting to be told.